How to balance BJJ and lifting. Many guys struggle to do both, balance jiu-jitsu and lifting. This can be a real problem because without maintaining a certain level of strength and conditioning, you'll often walk around beat up, exhausted, and unnecessary injuries will constantly start to pop up. Today I'm going to go over how to manage fatigue and still make progress in the gym. So how to get strong, how to be more explosive, how to improve your conditioning, and even how to build muscle if that's one of your goals. I'm going to give you a framework how to strength train so you can just plug and play exercises. So this will allow you to get to both worlds. Train jiu-jitsu constantly and see progress in the gym without feeling super beat up. Now, if you're looking for personalized help, I actually have a one-on-one coaching program where I'll assess you, I'll write you customized programs, we'll talk every week, you send me videos, and I'll make sure that you're doing the exercises properly with the enough intensity so you get results. Basically, I take all the guesswork out of strength and conditioning. If that's something you're into, I'll put the link in the description and you just click that and you can join my coaching program. Now let's get into it. The name of the game is managing fatigue because at the end of the day, we only have so much recovery ability. So we need to be smart, strategic with our recovery. So it's not like you're just working out. You're working out, which is a stress. You have all the other stress in your life, like your job and your family, maybe lack of sleep, poor diet, all that stuff. But then you actually do something really intense on the side, jiu-jitsu. It's a very intense hobby that your body has to deal with. You can't basically go nuts all the time because that's just going to lead to like feeling exhausted, constantly feeling beat up. Injuries are going to start popping up. So let's talk about how can we manage some fatigue. And the first thing that we have to think about, we want training programs that are going to stimulate the least amount of fatigue, but it's going to drive the best results. So it's not that we're afraid of fatigue, but if we're doing things that aren't going to really benefit us that much, but create a lot of fatigue, we want to avoid those things. So if you think of things like a CrossFit program, they do a lot of things that creates unnecessary fatigue. We could train in a way that we can still get strong, build muscle, but without all that fatigue. So things that are more on that intense spectrum. So think about like boot camp classes, doing circuits, doing things with short rest, doing intervals improperly, doing intervals too much. All this stuff where it's like this kind of like hardcore, get exhausted, get sweaty, get sore. It's not really good for jiu-jitsu because it creates a bunch of fatigue and sometimes it doesn't really even create a lot of results we're looking for. It doesn't build strength that well. It doesn't build conditioning that well. It doesn't build muscle that well. And there's ways that we can build those things without creating fatigue. And that especially becomes important when you're doing jiu-jitsu. So let's talk about rep ranges. So I like lower reps because the higher you go with reps, the more fatigue you get. But you can build strength and muscle in almost any rep range. You can build strength and muscle by doing reps of 5. So doing a set of 15 just creates all this unnecessary fatigue that your body has to recover from. So as far as reps go, I think most of your strength training reps should be between 5 to 10. Sometimes when we're doing like heavy compound lifts, like heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, we might go a little lower than that. But higher reps, they're not any more beneficial than lower reps. And again, lower reps create less fatigue. So let's just go lower reps. Now let's talk about RP or intensity. So RP is called rate of perceived exertion. So how it kind of works is like you might do a set and you might rate that from a scale 1 to 10 being hardest set ever, 1 being easy. Or another way to rate intensity is how many reps did you have left in the tank. So if you're doing a set of 8 and if you were to kept going, how many maximum reps could you have got before you failed? So usually you want to train with like 1 to 5 reps left in the tank. This creates enough stimulus so that you actually get stronger, build muscle, you have effective workouts, but without destroying your body. So there's some weeks where maybe you're beat up, you want to stay with like the 3 to 5 rep range. Now there's some weeks where, hey, I'm going to push it and I'm going to maybe max out, or I'm going to leave only 1 or 2 reps left in the tank. But again, by doing this, we know we're going to hit the right intensity to work out, and then we can move this up and down based on how we feel. Another way to do this is when you start a new program, start with it being a pretty easy. So you maybe train like a 4 or 5 reps in reserve, or like say like a 7 RP. And then as the weeks go on, so I usually do a program 4 weeks, each week just make it more intense. And then when you switch to another new program, again, it lowers back down. This is a great way to kind of periodize this. So not every week you're maxing out. Because every week you're maxing on all your lifts, your body's going to get burnt out. All right. We just don't have that recovery capacity, and we need to allow these lower intensity sessions sometimes so the body can actually recover and do what we want it to do, get stronger, build more muscle, all that stuff. Another thing people don't really think about is rest periods. Short rest periods are kind of a waste of time. When we have longer rest periods, say 2 or 3 minutes between sets, we're going to have higher intensity sets. Muscles are going to be fresher, so these become more productive sets. When we're constantly doing exercise, when we're under a lot of fatigue, our sets are incredibly unproductive from a result standpoint. Yeah, you feel tired and exhausted, but it's actually less effective from a strength muscle building standpoint. So long rest periods are ideal. Next thing we're talking about fatigue management is less is more. So a lot of times, like when we get into exercise, you might want to do these long workouts or lift 5 days a week. Sometimes doing less, I want to say sometimes, most of the time, especially if you're doing jiu-jitsu, less is more. Hitting 3 or 4 and doing what I kind of said, where they're very high quality sets, they're intense sets, you're taking these long rest breaks, you can get 3 exercises and you can make awesome progress off that versus doing 8 exercises and you're not resting that much and you're fatigued the whole session and the work is subpar. So less is more. And same thing with the number of sessions. Like you can get great results doing like 2 sessions a week, especially if you do a bunch of jiu-jitsu. So you don't need to do, that's a cool thing about this, is you don't have to be spending like hours in the gym every week to see results. And the last thing is, this isn't required, but I think for most guys, full body sessions is ideal because it allows you to spread fatigue through the whole week. So instead of doing like a leg day where you're doing like 3 or 4 leg exercises and then your legs are really sore, all right? You have to deal with all that fatigue in this one session. But say you do the same amount of leg exercises, but you spread that through the whole entire week. Now it's easier to manage that intensity. And by training our full body a few times a week, we're taking our body through a full range of motion. And this tends to help with pain management. It tends to allow us to have better mobility and move better. And again, it's going to help us manage fatigue better. I'm going to give you guys a framework on how to strength train. It's going to be a full body routine. And so the first thing we want to do is some power stuff. So these are things that are short bursts. We want to build power and be explosive. So these are things like medicine ball throws, medicine ball chest passes, can be things like plyo push-ups, different like jumps too, like box jumps, different like plyometrics that I like to do, like leaps, side-to-side jumps, jumping on one leg. We can get really creative with this, and we can do this all the way from like if you're a beginner doing very light tier hops to more intense hops. And a benefit of actually doing plyometrics to train power is, especially if you do this smart and you don't do too much too soon, it's going to help make your joints more resilient. Like it helps your knees, ankles, and hips basically be able to handle forces. And if you think of how injuries happen, especially on the mat, we usually get hurt, muscles get teared, bones get cracked because our body can't handle the forces being applied to it. Plyometrics helps, especially our lower body, handle those stresses. So not only is it going to help you be more explosive, stay younger, keep those fast twitch muscle fibers that we tend to lose as we get older, but it's going to help us avoid some lower body injuries, all right? So the next thing is that now we want to do a lower body exercise. So this could be usually a squat or deadlift variation. So, and the thing with exercise selection, you want to pick exercises that you can do well. So if you're brand new, you might not doing like a barbell back squat. Maybe you're going to do some dumbbell kettlebell squats for a little bit, or maybe you're doing a front squat, or even like I would even call a leg press a squat. But whatever variation that you're comfortable with, that you can really push hard, that's what you want to do. So again, what I usually recommend here is take a few sets to warm up. So when I say warm up, we usually go lightweight, then moderate, and then close to your heavyweight, and then you go into what we call your working sets. So those are the sets where you train close to failure, when you have that like 1 to 5 reps shy of failure. So that's how, that's as far as the intensity. Now, how many working sets you should do? Probably 1 to 3 for most exercises. You don't need to do a ton. So I kind of go off topic there, but I wanted to talk about that because I didn't go into much detail before. So like I said, you got to pick a low body exercise. So then the second exercise is going to be a push exercise. So that's anything that you push away. So like a push-up, a shoulder press, a bench press, a dumbbell press. And then same thing. Do your warm-up sets, do your working sets. Make sure you're resting 2 or 3 minutes between hard sets. And then you're going to do a second lower body exercise. So instead of doing like a squat and a deadlift, you're going to either do a single leg exercise or you're going to do a hamstring focus exercise. So a single leg exercise would be like a lunge, a step up, a side lunge, elevated split squats, or you're going to do more hamstring exercise. This could be a leg curl, a back extension, single leg RDL, barbell RDLs, things like that. So basically, you kind of work at opposite leg muscles with the 2 leg exercises. But same thing, do your warm-up sets, do your working sets, and then the last main exercise is going to be a pull exercise. So this would be some type of row, some type of chin-up, Sometimes it could even be like a rear delt exercise, like a bent over fly, or even like a pull, like a lat pull down. Same thing. Do your warm-up sets and your working sets. Now, if you want to save time, you can superset this. But you want to just pick exercises that don't compete with each other. So, for example, you could do the lower body 1 and the push together, and then do the low body 2 and the pull. But treat it like strength. Don't treat it like a circuit. Don't go through it as fast as you can. You would still do 2 or 3. You would still do 2 or 3 warm-up sets. Do your hard working sets. You want plenty of rest. So sometimes what we can do with these supersets is you can do one exercise, rest for 30 seconds, do the next one, then rest for 90 seconds after you do both. And that will give you about 2 or 3 minutes between exercises, actually. Another way to do it is you can do your low body exercise, then rest for a minute, do your upper body exercise, rest for a minute. Again, that gives you like that 2 or 3 minutes between exercises. So if you have time, so often like I'm usually squeezing my workouts in between clients. So sometimes that's all I have time for. Most of the time I don't have time for a lot of this stuff, but if you have time, this is when you want to add the accessory stuff. So you want to maybe bring up weak points. So for example, you could do some arm work, because arm work is going to help you with a better squeeze of jiu-jitsu. It's going to keep your elbows and wrists healthy. It's going to give you more muscular endurance in your arms. Or you might focus on attacking your weaknesses. So if your back always hurts, maybe you should train your lower back, train more core-like movements. If you've been dealing with a knee injury, maybe you're going to focus on some more knee-specific exercises, maybe more isolation exercises in that area. So maybe you're going to start working some like leg extensions or leg curls. And another option, you could actually do conditioning here. So you could do some intervals, you could do some aerobic work. But that's basically the framework of how to do the full body workout. And that's basically the framework of how you do the full body workout. And if you follow the rules of how to manage fatigue and you follow that framework 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to be able to balance BJJ in a way that's going to allow you to do both, in a way where you're going to recover faster, you're not going to get beat up. I won't promise you won't ever get injured, but you're going to avoid a lot of the unnecessary injuries that we get from just not being in shape. Your cardio is going to go up, your performance is going to go up, a lot of great things are going to happen, all right? So follow that along. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe so you can see all my videos.